Hey, my babes and babies. Thank you guys for tuning in to another video from your girl, Solange Naily. And on this video, we are going to talk about Janet Jackson's documentary. Okay, before I jump into it, I just want to say to those who are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification button. And thank you. And those of you who are subscribers, thank you for your continued support. Make sure you hit that notification button for any future videos. Okay, now that I got that out the way, if you have not seen the documentary for Janet Jackson that came on Lifetime, or if you can't get Lifetime on your TV because you don't have cable, you might want to download the app so that you can go ahead and see it. But if you have not seen it already, I'm sorry, but I'm about to spoil some things. So you might want to exit the room if you don't want to hear what I got to say and my take on the documentary. Now, all in all, it was a good documentary. It was very, very well put together. And I was happy that she finally did it, but I kind of wish that they would have done it when Michael was alive. That way we can get his take on things. But this was about Janet, and she did, tell the story about her brothers and all that type of stuff. Which you kind of have to go through their story a little bit to get to Janet's story. So I think that's why for part one, because it's 4 parts, I think that's why part one was geared towards more about the brothers, how they got together and all that type of stuff, and so on and so forth. But the beginning of part one, she was in the car and she was in Gary, Indiana. She was getting ready to go to their home on Jackson Street. And the guy was talking, the guy recording her was talking to her and asked her a question: why now? Why the documentary now? And her answer was just simple: it was time. And she didn't want outsiders taking her story and her family story and making a spectacle or a joke out of it and putting in lies where there shouldn't be no lies. She wanted to tell the story. And that's how it should be. People should be able to tell their story when they want to tell their story. So she's driving in the car, and in mid-sentence she says, "Oh my God, I never saw that before," and asked the cameraman to turn around so he can see what she's talking about. And it was a mural of her brothers. And she got emotional. She's like, that was so sweet. She said she liked that. That just lets her know that her family is special. She had a real moment. She cried. And I started crying. I was like, oh my God, Janet, you just started a documentary and you crying already, girl. But that was a special moment. Throughout the whole 4-part series, there were specific moments where she had emotional moments that really affected her. And we never really see Janet really opening up about certain things, and she doesn't really show emotions like that. So those specific moments really hit her to where she, shed a tear, whatever the case may be. And even in the midst of all that, she was still trying her hardest to not cry. So they get to their house on Jackson Street, and this is something that I did not know. Everybody for years thought that the street that they lived on, Jackson Street, was based off of the Jacksons. She said no. That street was already named Jackson before they got there. So, boom. They just made it popular because their last name was Jacksons, and they was the Jacksons, so it just made perfect sense. But so she met her brother Randy at their old home, and I like the fact that he's her manager. her brother, and her manager. I like that. Besides Michael, Randy was the closest to Janet, or Janet was closer to Randy and Michael. She, by her being the baby out of all those kids, she really didn't get to have a father figure. He was more so of a manager and a dictator in a sense, and whatever. She never really got that love, that fatherly love. And Randy had to tell her about a couple of stories that she didn't remember about where she used to sleep at in the house, and where the boys used to sleep at, and how it used to be three boys in one bunk bed, and so on and so forth. So like, she didn't remember all that because she's a baby. She's not gonna remember all that. Just like me, I'm the baby of 6 boys. I'm not gonna remember half of the shit that happened. So she she was kind of like in awe, and I think she really wished that she had like a father figure in her life, because all Joe knew was, my kids are talented, my kids gonna make it, and I'm going to push my kids to the best of their ability. Now his way of disciplining and all that stuff may not be what's the word I'm looking for, traditional in a sense, but he had a system that worked, and it honestly kept all their asses out of trouble, jail, none of them are dead, any of that. So in a way, it kind of worked. Okay, I'm going to be skipping. I'm not going to go detail from detail, because I just want to get like some of the moments that stuck out to me on camera. So she pretty much was thrown into the business, because she said when she was little, she used to always go into rehearsals with her brothers or whatever, and watch them do their thing and all that type of stuff, and she enjoyed it and everything like that. And they used to travel, they used to go and perform, especially like in white neighborhoods or places, and her and her sisters would be a part of the act with their brothers and stuff like that. She said she remembered when they first moved to, I think it was Hollywood, and the community that they were in, they were the first black family to ever move in that community, and a lot of white people were petitioning for them to move. They didn't want black people in that community. And she said she remembered going to school, being a little black girl, and the white girls messing her hair, and they couldn't figure out how her hair was different from theirs, and all that type of stuff. And she said they would rub on her skin to see if it would come off, and she used to be called a nigger and all that type of stuff as a little girl, so they was in a racist community in Hollywood. But I think people tolerated them because of who they were. And we all know white people like for black people to entertain them. So they was just entertainment for white people. They really didn't care about them like that. Oh, excuse me. So when they was doing their acts with their brothers, Reby, Toya, Janet, whatever, she said she had performed for the first time with Randy. And she's like, at that moment, she didn't think that she was that good, or the people didn't think that she was that good, but they tolerated them because they were children. So they let them do their act because they were children. And of course you're going to say, oh, you did a good job, when they're a kid, because you don't want to hurt their ego. So that took place, and before she got on stage, she said Randy had told her, "You can't be scared. Once you get past your first performance, you are not going to be scared for any other performances." And she said that is exactly what happened. After that first performance, she wasn't scared no more, and she got on that stage and she did what she had to do. So she never fully got asked if this was something that she wanted to do. She kind of got pushed into it because it was Joe's idea of a family business. So Janet grew up being in the spotlight. You know, she did commercials, she did little TV skits. She auditioned for Good Times as Penny, and the producer of that show was like, she had such an innocence and everything like that could nobody else do that part like her, pretty much. Like she really embodied Penny's character. And Joe forced her to audition for that part, and she didn't want to do that. Janet was a very quiet little girl. Her main friends was her brothers and her sisters, and she wanted to do other things. So fast forward, her being a teenager, she had got a record deal. And you know, back then, record labels didn't want you to think or write on your own. You sung the words that they wrote and how they wanted you to sing it. So she was singing songs that just did not resonate with her spirit, her creativity, or anything like that. So naturally, she's not going to be happy about it or whatever. And then you have your father, who's dictating things and so on and so forth. And Janet at one point said that she wanted to go to college, and Joe pretty much said, "No, you're going to sing." So at that moment, I felt that really hurted Janet so bad, because you as a father don't want your child to go to college. You don't want your child to be in the business. You really just dismissed her dreams that she wanted to conquer. And I felt bad for her, because I felt like she really wanted to go to college. She really wanted to get a degree. And he just took that right from under her. So that, in the industry, she felt like she needed to get out some way, somehow. And she said the only way she could do that is if she got married. So this is where James DeBarge come into play, and you know, all that stuff. And she said she remembered Toya saying to her, "If this is what you want to do it." So she did. She got married to James DeBarge. They was married for a year. And it got a little rocky. She found out that he was on drugs. They came to Grand Rapids, Michigan, got married or whatnot. He left her in the hotel room, didn't come back when he came. You know what I'm saying? He was on drugs, and she didn't find that out, and she needed an escape. Okay, so Janet found out that James DeBarge was on drugs, and he was never present mentally, whatever. And then that's what the rumor came about. You know, she and James had a secret child or whatever. She said she had started. That's when she was little. She was having weight issues, whatever. But at that particular time, she was on birth control, and that caused her to gain weight. So that's what happened. So a lot of people just assumed that she was pregnant or whatever. Now, I don't know if she ever like took an extensive break during their marriage or whatever, because I was too young to even really fully understand or even pay that attention. Like, I don't really recall her, you know, taking a break to have a baby and all that type of stuff. And besides, what's her name? Felicia Rashad sisters. Is it Dee Allen? I'm gonna say Miss Allen. Okay. Janet performed on the TV show Fame, which her father pushed her to do that too. Well, no, she didn't push her to do the show. She did the show when she had just freshly got a record deal. And they were questioning her about, why are you doing TV shows when you have albums that you have to do or whatever. But she really didn't want to do that show either. But it was just something that she had to do. It was a way of her trying to find her. You know, she needed some type of escape to have some type of control of her life. You know, so she did the TV show. And Miss Allen, she was like, yeah, at that time, they was talking about a baby and all that stuff. She's like, what baby? She came to work every day. We didn't see no baby. So, like, okay. She's pretty credible. I can say, okay, you know what? Janet didn't have no baby. Janet did not have no baby. Now, let me just say this. When she was asked about this secret baby, I really wish that Janet would have just outright said, no, I don't have a child. When he asked her the question, she started messing with her hair and, you know, kind of like, and then she said, why would I keep a child from their father? That's not right. Instead of just saying, no, I don't have no child. I never had a child. And that would have been good enough for me. I wanted her to have a little bit more emotion behind that, I guess, because this old tale has been over her head pretty much her whole fucking career, and she has not said anything. She has not displayed any type of emotion about it. Like me, I would be like, no, I don't have no fucking kid. Please stop saying that. That is old news. I'm tired of hearing that. I'm tired of that being associated with my name. You know what I'm saying? Have some type of emotion behind it. It almost kind of felt like she was afraid to even speak on it. So a lot of people still don't believe her. And a lot of people are saying, you know what, girl, just go ahead and take this DNA test, because there's this girl that's out here saying that Janet Jackson could potentially be her mother because James DeBarge is supposed to be her father. Like, she did a DNA test years ago, and or blood test, whatever you want to call it, and it was like 98% or something like that she was part of the DeBarge bloodline. Okay. And then James had the nerve to jump on that bandwagon too, to say that him and Janet had a secret child. Now, I don't know, cause see, that's kind of iffy, because I don't know if he was saying that to get back at Janet because she divorced him, or he was saying that just to make sure that his name stayed relevant in the industry, or did they really have a fucking child and they gave it up for adoption? See, it's still questions regarding that, even though she said she really didn't say no. She just said, why would I keep a child away from their father? That's not right. That's not you saying, no, I don't have no kids. Because back then, you wasn't in control of your life like that. Your father was in control of your life like that. And y'all were Jehovah's Witnesses. We know how Jehovah's Witnesses feel about having babies, and well, y'all was married then, so yeah. That theory just went out the window. But you know how some Jehovah's Witnesses can be, especially when it comes to women in church. And if it does not look good, if it does not fall in line with what the hell the household got going on, 9 times out of 10, adoption or an abortion. One of the two. But I just wish she would have just said no. And I honestly, I just wish that she would put this girl's ease to rest. I mean, I know she don't have to, but this girl is gonna always feel like you are her mother. And just do a DNA. Like, what is it going to hurt to do a DNA test? If you are 100% that you ain't got no kids out here, and you think it's foolish, and you want to really prove everybody wrong and be done with this whole bull crap, Janet, take the DNA test. The longer you don't take the DNA test, the more that this is going to linger on for the rest of your life. It even got to the point where they thought that, I think it was Jackie's daughter or Jermaine's daughter, who looked exactly like Janet when she was younger, said that she was her daughter. And then they said another brother's daughter was her daughter. And they said that the daughter that she supposedly had, Riri was taking care of her. Now, that could be a possibility. All I'm saying is, it's still unclear. It's still unclear because she did not make it perfectly clear in the document. But James, I don't know what his motive was by being on the bandwagon with that. But anywho, so Janet eventually removed her father from being her manager because she needed to start doing things her way. She wasn't feeling fulfilled musically. She wasn't fulfilled within her life. She didn't even understand who she was. Like, it was like she was just a machine. You know, she didn't have no identity. She was struggling trying to find that identity. So she fired her father as being her manager. He said that he was cool with it, whatever. He shut down his business, his management business or whatever. And the reception for Joe said that he told her, you need to be with Janet, you need to follow Janet, you need to make sure that she's okay, take care of Janet. So she started working for Janet. At that moment, she called Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And they helped her with her Control album, which did amazing, which did numbers. And it really goes to show that when you restrict somebody's creativity, their ideas, their imaginations on things, you will not get the organic product. You will not get the full benefits. Because the shit that she was singing before she let Joe go, and that record contract that she got, that bullshit, I don't even know what them songs are. What are those songs? I've never even heard of those songs. But when she made Control, baby, listen, she took off. She wrote her own stuff because it was what she was feeling. It's what she experienced. Control was the perfect song, the first perfect single that she ever made, and it went to #1. And her album was to #1, and then the next album was to #1, and then the next album was to #1. So like, she was on her shit. Now let's fast forward to, I think, her second album, where she met this guy named Renee. Renee was like a videographer, photographer, whatever the case may be. Like, he was very involved in her career, whatever. They grew close together. He asked her to marry him. He gave her a ring. She said that James never gave her a ring. James never proposed to her, so she never got a ring. He gave her a ring. Of course, she accepted. They was together. He was pretty much involved. It was like they were a solid team. He knew Janet more than anybody else, so he knew what Janet liked, what Janet would look like in this situation, what she would look like in that situation, and things of that nature. But I will say this: he rubbed me the wrong way when I first seen him. I said, it's something about him I don't even fucking like. It's something about him that I don't even like. And so fast forward, they end up getting married. He allowed for her to be a little bit more sexy, which she has never done. She was a little bit more sexy. That's why the more the sexier songs came out. And it's like, oh, okay. He's really kind of using her, in a way, and she doesn't see it. Her very first famous Rolling Stone cover period that had everybody talking about, she was topless and she had some man hands on her breast like this. Come to find out, those man's breast was Renee, her husband. And Reba said she didn't like it at all. They did not like it at all. The family did not like it at all because we're spiritual. We're Jehovah's Witness. We shouldn't be doing like this. Certain things like that should be private. So Renee was helping her come out of her shell. And it worked. Her sales skyrocketed. She did her thing. They were married for 9 years. Within that last year or so, whatever, the relationship got estranged. Renee didn't know how to turn off recording Janet's every move. Everything had to be recorded. And that moment that they showed in the documentary where she surprised her mother at her house. They hugged, whatever. Which is supposed to be an intimate moment, I feel. And he just kept the camera on Janet. And her mama. She gave her mama a kiss. And he like, no, kiss her again. Do it again. Like, at this point, you're invading my privacy. You invaded my mother's privacy because she didn't give you permission to record her. And she just kept saying, don't record my mother. Don't record my mother. And he slowly moved the camera from Janet to her mother. After she done told you numerous times, don't record my mother. So he was very obsessive of recording Janet. And see, when somebody's obsessive like that, you have to think about what their motives is. Because if you're not listening to me, I'm your wife, I'm telling you don't do this, and you're doing it anyway, it's like, why are you recording me so much? Part of me felt like he recorded so much, so just in case she did some shit, he had proof. When they got a divorce, it wasn't a easy divorce. He wanted his due share for all the work that he helped with Janet and all that type of stuff, which I knew that shit was going to come. He was good as long as they were married, but as soon as she wanted a divorce, now you want your half of the damn pie. Bullshit. So I was glad that she got rid of him. And she ended up doing another album. She ended up making more happier songs. And she was still doing good. She was still doing very, very good. It got to the point that she was supposed to have a Coca-Cola deal. And when Michael's first allegations of him molesting children came out, I think it was like the 80s or the 90s. When that first allegation came out, Coca-Cola decided not to go with Janet for it. Because the Jackson 5, they had the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi deal. And that's when Michael, hair caught on fire, fell down the stairs. We know the story. So she was kind of hurt because she's like, that's my brother. That's not me. But you're guilty by association. You're guilty by being somebody's relative. You're guilty for being a Jackson. So she said it's pretty much a blessing and a curse to be a Jackson. And it really was for her. It really was for her. And she could never get out of the shadow of Michael. Never could. I remember she said she went to go see Michael perform at one point in time, and she just did not realize how big and massive that he had become, because he had so many people from all over the world that came to see him at this, I forgot where it was, and she could not believe it. But when she saw him performing, she had a sense of what to do next and how to do things, how to perform and all that stuff. So she said that was a magical moment for her at that point in time, because prior to her going to see him perform, she hadn't talked to him for a year. And she said that their relationship was so tight growing up, but as she got older and as he got bigger, their relationship started doing this. And it hurted her because Michael was really the only person that she could really talk to with no judgment. But he used to make fun of her and call her names, whatever. But she's like, that's what kids, that's what siblings do. They talk about each other, call each other's names or whatever. But I don't think he understood the extent of hurt that it caused her. So let's go to where the allegations are going on. And the interview was like, did the family support Michael during that time? She was like, yes, the family supported Michael. The family stayed at his house to show that they love him and that they support him and that they believe him. They were there for him. And even in that moment, she still felt like their relationship was just not the same, but she just wanted to be there to show her support for her brother, because she loved her brother. And at this particular, at a point in time, Michael said that he wanted to do a song with Janet. I think it was in the 90s. But crazy as it sounds, the song Scream, I didn't see until after Michael passed. So I'm not sure how old the song is, but I didn't see Scream until the video. Yeah, I haven't even heard of the song until after he passed. So before he passed, he wanted to do a song with Janet at that particular time, and she showed a video of them being at his apartment, and they were going over the lyrics and stuff. He wrote his lyrics and she was going to follow his lead, and she was just like, okay, what are your lyrics, so that I could just write it down so that I can know, so that we can have something, whatever. So they were bonding. They were bonding over music, but they wasn't really bonding like they were when they were little. It's like, so she said that the video was only supposed to have been like very way less money than what it actually cost. I think she said like $3 million or $7 million or something like that. That's how much money it took to make that video, because that video was before its time, for sure. So she said that she was displeased at how his team was handling the shooting of the video and stuff like that. It was like almost a competition between him and her, because they were the two toppest entertainers of the world at that time. And she said that she could never see him doing his performance. They always had like barriers up so that she couldn't go and watch her brother perform and all that type of stuff. And she just felt like they were trying to make it a competition or something like that. She said she didn't like it. And at that moment, she really felt like their relationship really was not going to be the same. But she still loved her brother. Um, let's see. I'm gonna try to just fast forward to the end. Janet is in a happy place right now. Janet has been touring. Janet looks good as fuck. Janet just wants to focus on being a mom. And all her new endeavors that she has going on. Now, I will say this. I really wish Janet would go ahead and get her degree like she wanted to. Because that was like one of the first things that she said she ever wanted to do was to go to college. And I feel like this time right now, just to say that she was able to conquer and complete one of her longtime dreams and goals. Go to school, Janet. Get that degree in whatever you said that you was going to get, business, something. Go ahead, or law or something. Go ahead. You have enough money right now to where you really don't have to tour. You don't have to tour. Just relax, be a mom, and go to school. I would love to see Janet walking across the stage getting her degree. I absolutely would. I think that would just make my day. Because Janet just, the industry chose her. She was forced to be in the industry. I don't think she really didn't want it. She was forced into it. So I just want her to really complete that, to conquer that. Well, I'm going to end it right here. I'm sure there are some other pieces to it that I have not mentioned. That's okay. So you could go ahead and watch it on your own on Lifetime if you have not already. And I will chat up with you guys on the next video.